Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day as we get going here. And I hope I can see, like yesterday, say hello to some dear friends of the program here as you come on live. We love you dearly. Brahim, back to number one. Kevin, number two. Andrea, number three. The Trinity. Let's see. Well, you guys are right back at the top. Hi, Bonnie. How are you? Lynn from Aurora. Thanks for coming on. Barishon, nice to have you. Sandy, Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Sandy from Chilliwack, British Columbia. Janice from Brampton, good morning. Yvonne, Petawawa. Rosalinda from Niagara Falls. The Frozen Kidneys of Canada. Nick from our staff. Wendy from Markham. Judy, New Brunswick, good morning. Nellie, how are you? Cheryl, West Virginia. Oh, I love singing that. Parais, Bon Matin, Laurie, Yvonne, Williams Lake, British Columbia. Babita from Brampton. Kathy, Simcoe. Natalie, how are you? April, good morning. Gail, Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. And yeah, Brahim's praying for the shooting in Canada. Terrible. Yolande, bonjour. Mary, Cape Breton, Maryland, Charlottetown, PEI. Catherine, Newfoundland. We're out on the East Coast. Grace from Newfoundland. We love you folks out there. Sherry, Mississauga. Francis from Vaughan, good morning. And Sue from Bolton. And Diane, Peterborough. Fran, Orangeville. And Bonnie saying hi to friends from Little Britain. Paul, how are you? And Elaine saying hi to Donna. Patricia from Florida. Maria, Ottawa. A couple more, guys. Sammy from Sault Ste. Marie. Hi, Lee. Claudette, how are you? Georgie from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And Dennis from Norwich. We thank you for coming on. Shelley. Hi, Shelley from Thunder Bay. Yvette. Shediac, Nouveau-Brunswick. Judy. Tumbler. Oh, praying for Tumbler Ridge. Yeah, for sure. Linda, New Brunswick. Diane, Thunder Bay. And Patricia saying hello to everybody. Darlene, hi, guys. Carol from Wasaga Beach. Not swimming there yet, right? Lisa? Okay. Guys, yesterday, if you weren't on in the afternoon, I'll just do a little recap of one of the studies, okay? And hi, Rosa, Nativity, Heather, all in the clouds probably. And I'm going to bring you that study again just because I want to break it down. Hi, Kathy. Amber in New Jersey. Thanks for coming on, guys. You guys are so good. Hi, Wanda from Virginia. Donna. Okay, where was it here? I had here it is, okay? A new study, okay, on magnesium and breast cancer, okay? And so I brought this yesterday afternoon in the afternoon session, but I would talk about it again here today because we're going to go into a little bit more detail on this. New study shows if you have an increase of magnesium in your tissue, your risk of breast cancer goes down quite a bit. Magnesium and breast cancer. So what I explained yesterday was what the article said. Well, what the study said. The authors of the study were saying, they're not sure exactly why, but their theory was that because magnesium decreases inflammation, okay, C-reactive protein, magnesium will lower that to some extent, and decrease in oxidative stress. They felt that that was the reason for magnesium. And I didn't go into a lot of detail, but let me go into a little bit more detail about magnesium and what it does, okay? So here's my sort of little theory on it. And am I right? Maybe partially. I don't know, okay? All I know is I've been talking about magnesium for centuries, it seems. It's important. We don't get enough of it. It's not in our soil like it used to be at all. So when food, if it's not in the soil, guys, it's not in the food generally. So when I talk about magnesium, I talk about supplementing with magnesium. Okay, I love citrate, biglycinate, anything with an 8 at the end of it, because it's been chelated, meaning it's ready to be absorbed. But let me give you a little take on, because magnesium is a natural calcium blocker, okay? They, when they give you medications for high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, and whatever, they often give you what they call a calcium blocker, okay, in terms of medication. But magnesium is a natural calcium blocker. Now, before I get into the heart, because that's important for the heart, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but let me just reference breast cancer first. Because, and I wrote this in my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, okay? Where do I have it? I have it here. I have a copy here, available still in Canada. So why don't you pick this book up? Okay, it's a great reference book. And I talk about what they found in breast cancer to be a factor is oxalates, calcium oxalates, kidney stones, calcium oxalates. You can get uric acid stones, but the most prevalent stones, 75% of stones in kidney stones, are calcium stones. They're oxalates. And, I've talked about oxalates in the past. So one of the things when you go on the reset for 30 days, no oxalates, because you're not eating. I'm not saying you should never eat vegetables. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a lot of them, like spinach, for example, have a lot of oxalates. And there are studies showing that one of the things in breast cancer is the presence of calcium oxalates. So when they say that when your magnesium, when they measure it, is increased, you have a less risk of breast cancer, according to this new study. That could be a big factor without them even mentioning it in the study. Because magnesium does a lot of things, but it is a natural calcium blocker. Now, guys, you know this with me, okay? You know this with me. Do I love calcium? Yep. I do. Okay? I do. You need calcium. Your bones need calcium. I mean, it's not the only thing your bones need, but you need calcium. The problem with calcium is if you take it as a supplement, it will stay mostly in your blood will not get to the intended destination. That's why God has given us eggs, meat, and dairy, cheese, cream, butter. Why? Because you got calcium. You got a lot of calcium in dairy. Everybody knows that. Well, drink your milk. You need calcium. Yeah, okay. Like I don't like skim milk. I don't like 2%. I like full. If you're going to drink milk, drink. If you got a cow in the backyard, go ahead and drink it. I love cream. We talked about this yesterday. I posted it on Alzheimer's, right? The more fat you have in your diet, the better it is for your brain. Fathead, right? Take that as a compliment. If I call you fathead, you're a friend of mine. Okay? You want to have a lot of fat. Alzheimer's, the brain shrinks like a prune. That's just a fact. No fat. Okay? So calcium's important, guys. Again, in nature, God gave it to us. You have an egg, you got a lot of calcium in there with the transporter, K2. Okay? It's important. You eat cheese, you have calcium in cheese. Lots of it. With the transporter, K2. Because K2, what it does, it takes calcium and puts it in the bones. That's why I like vitamin D even with K2. Because vitamin D will increase your calcium level. That's why it's so good for your bones. Nobody argues with that. It's very important for bones. You know, but I used to say, with the assumption that you're eating eggs, meat, and cheese because that's where you're going to get vitamin K2, not K1. K1 is in the plant kingdom. Is K1 bad for you? No, it's not bad for you. It's good for you. But K2 is better for you because it takes calcium. Magnesium is a calcium blocker, natural, but K2 is what brings calcium into your intended destination, which is your bones and teeth. You don't want calcium in your arteries, guys, because that's atherosclerosis, right? It's plaque. What do you think plaque is? It's calcified. That's what plaque is. You know, they always blame cholesterol for plaque. Well, blaming cholesterol, yeah, cholesterol's always going through your blood. It's always going to be present in your blood vessels. Of course. Right? They're Amazon trucks. Or whatever kind of truck you like the best. They're going on the highways and byways of your blood vessels. What does cholesterol do? It transports. What does HDL do? Well, it has a wagon on the back. You know, you've seen those transports with 2 trailers? Well, the second trailer is to pick up triglycerides. That's why, again, that it's so good. Cholesterol is good for your heart. It's not bad for your heart. I got a study. Well, we might get into it today on cholesterol. Okay? So magnesium, guys, is a natural calcium blocker. Is that more important than its anti-inflammatory properties? Maybe. Maybe. And it blocks oxalates. That's why magnesium is so good for your kidneys. I mean, magnesium is good for your blood vessels all around. Why? Because magnesium relaxes your blood vessels, right? You guys know me. When I say magnesium, I say relax. I used to say that to my kids. Okay? Daddy used to say, relax. because they were getting uptight or they were being bad when they were young. And Daddy, with my voice, I used this to with great success. Relax. And they'd look at Daddy, meaning, cool it. Okay? Guys, okay? Magnesium is really, really important. Okay? So let's go through a few things that magnesium does other than blocking oxalates, which is really, really good. It's sort of like, let's talk about insulin. Because where magnesium helps in insulin and at the insulin resistance, you remember at the cells, the cell walls? When you're a carboholic, your cell walls, your muscle cells, your fat cells, your liver cells, especially, they get so tired of seeing insulin coming around, but insulin's got a job to do. Remember, if you got sugar in the bloodstream, insulin says, hey, you can't park there. No more parking. It's a no parking zone. Okay? Can't park there. Okay? I don't care if you have a disability parking pass. You can't park there. Why? Because sugar is so destructive to blood vessels. Your body knows that. Medicine doesn't. They don't even know it. Because if they knew it, if you had diabetes, they'd say, well, you and sugar don't get along, so stop eating it. But they don't want to fix it. They want to manage it. So what do? Well, you're diabetic. You need medication. They don't even talk to you about food. If they did, they would say, well, maybe, you better cut back on red meat. No. When you eat steak, your insulin's on the sidelines. It doesn't even have work to do. Okay? So, when it comes to diabetes, magnesium is good. It's good for you. It's good prevention because it's sort of a gatekeeper at the wall, the cell wall. And it facilitates the entry of insulin. It facilitates it, makes it easier. Because insulin needs knock, knock, knock on the cell wall. Hey, I got sugar and I need to park it. And when cells get tired of hearing from insulin, they develop like a coding and saying, I hate you, insulin. And that's what diabetes is. It all starts with insulin resistance. So anyway, magnesium allows that glucose to go inside the cell. It's a facilitator. How do you like that? Okay? It's a facilitator. Very good for you. We talked about kidneys already. Magnesium helps because it gets rid of oxalates and, again, blood supply. It relaxes blood vessels. I always tell you that. Okay? Blood vessels become spasmodic, especially with high blood pressure. Well, magnesium relaxes the blood vessel. Anxiety, adrenals, right? Cortisol. Where does it come from? Your adrenal glands, adrenal on top of kidneys. And they secrete cortisol, your stress hormone. And everybody has cortisol. Everybody. And cortisol's on your side till it's not. Cortisol is a friend until you use it too much. Then it becomes an enemy. Magnesium helps with cortisol. Okay? It does. Because magnesium relaxes. Okay, think of it. It's a relaxant. And it binds itself to serotonin. the feel-good hormone, that you have more in your gut than you have in your brain, by the way. But magnesium's important for that. Magnesium's important in sleep. Why? Again, because it hitches its wagon to GABA and helps you to relax. It relaxes your muscles. This is why, like if years ago, I used to tell all my patients, well, you're having trouble sleeping. One way to prepare for sleep, you can take a magnesium supplement, hot bath of magnesium salts, okay, Epsom salts or magnesium salts. Take a hot bath with magnesium salts about an hour before you're going to bed. A lot of people find that effective. For the heart, magnesium's important. One of the biggest things that I saw over the years in heart, especially atrial fib, what's really gone into a different stratosphere in terms of numbers is atrial fib. My word, we see a lot of atrial fib. And I talked about this on many a podcast before, because atrial fib the numbers are crazy compared to what it used to be. And here's me, okay? Here's me. Your heart is a muscle. Your heart's a muscle. Your heart is an electrical grid. That's why I'm big on water and electricity. Think about it, right? You want to produce electricity? You need water. Niagara Falls. You guys know that. Okay? Water's good for the heart. Not only blood volume, but the electrical grid. That's why I like even a touch of salt and magnesium, sodium. Okay, why? Well, because it's a grid. And I believe what happens in atrial fib, where the electricity is out of whack, I think one of the biggest problems is low magnesium. Because again, I'm a why guy. Why are we seeing so much atrial fib? I think another reason is because of the overuse of statin drugs. It weakens the heart. It weakens the muscle. It weakens the amount of CoQ10. And you guys know this. I've been consistent talking about CoQ10. Without CoQ10, guys, your mitochondria don't work properly because you need CoQ10 for ATP, which is the production of energy. You got more mitochondria in your heart and your brain than anywhere else. You need a lot of battery packs for your heart to function properly. There's CoQ10, but magnesium's important for that too. Okay? And think of it, okay? Downstream from the heart. Like when they talk about coronary artery disease, okay? And now they do the CAC test, right? Like where they take imaging of your coronary arteries. And they can see if you have any calcium. Well, what's a natural calcium blocker? Magnesium. Okay? By the way, people ask me about that test all the time because it's, now you can get an imaging of your coronary arteries. I like it. But what do you do about it? Medicine often wants to put you on a statin drug. I don't like that because it's not going to fix the problem. It's going to mask the problem. It doesn't fix it. Cholesterol's not the boogeyman. Calcium, calcified arteries. Think of your carotid artery. Calcified. What helps that? Magnesium. It's a natural calcium blocker. I like that. I like elevating nitric oxide. I often use with heart patients over the years a combination of magnesium. With atrial fib, I gave patients magnesium. I gave them CoQ10, ubiquinol. I gave them Navitol because it elevates your nitric oxide, opens up the blood vessels. Works really well with magnesium. And then I had them on, of course, vitamin D, always. Vitamin D in the heart, there's so much research on that. And high DHA to lubricate the blood vessels. I'd do all of the above if I had trouble with atrial fib or heart disease. Okay. So remember that, okay? And magnesium, by the way, because it's a calcium blocker, think about your ladies, think about your bladder. Because it's mostly with women. Mostly with women. They get bladder issues. That bladder starts descending. Well, that's progesterone, and a lot of it is, that's true. And magnesium, they're not, the smooth muscle depends a lot on magnesium. Gallbladder, smooth muscle. Okay? Anyway, I thought I'd bring that up. Let me see here. We got another minute. I want to go into, let me see, my notes. Okay. Somebody asked me the question in every, why don't we do this, okay? Somebody asked me the question on Friday, but I get it almost every Q&A. Dr. Martin, what do you think of Ozempic or Wegovy or Wegovy? What do you call it? I don't know. What do they call it? It don't matter to me what they call it. It's what I call it. Okay, you know what I mean by these GLP drugs, okay? And I sort of give an answer, and I just want to reiterate it because again, okay? Here's the problem. Here's the problem because this is the most popular medications of our time right now. Our GLP-1s, peptides. They're the most popular medication. Weight loss. Okay? And mankind is always looking for ways to lose weight. If they can do it easily, they'll do it. Guys, there's no magic. But these medications are like magic. They work. They work. But, with a big but. Okay? But, with a big but. Here's just the facts, guys. Here's the facts. And, I don't mind repetition because if people ask me, we got lots of new people, we talk about that. Okay? We'll talk about that. One, this is a fact, people on average will stay on this medications for 1 year. That's the average. And then they stop. Why do they stop? Side effects. Okay? Side effects. We'll talk about that. Let's do it right now. Stomach and bowel paralysis. Because that's how these peptides work. They slow down peristalsis. They affect your hunger hormone. The problem is that a lot of people stop because they get major digestive issues. I had former patients of mine tell me they went on the medication, and it was given at one time, by the way, to diabetics because that's what the medication was for. Okay, Wegovy and Ozempic were diabetic medications. Okay, with a boatload of side effects to diabetics. One of them was major digestive issues, exploding diarrhea with no warning. That's what former patients have told me about. So I had to stop that. Man, oh man, I mean, it was embarrassing, and I would have accidents with no warning whatsoever. Okay, and suicidal and depression, big time. Well, it plays with your hormones. It plays with you got more hormones in your gut than you have in your brain, guys. Well, there's a major side effect to that. It can be. The other side effect is when you stop, you get your weight back. And there's reasons for that. One, you didn't change habits. This is why, guys, the reset was so different. You know, we talked about this the other day. Dr. Martin, my daughter only lost 5 pounds. She's frustrated. First of all, 5 pounds is big. 5 pounds of fat, okay, not muscle. Because when you go on the reset, you lose fat, not muscle. And you want to lose that visceral fat, especially that fat. The reset aims at that, at visceral fat around your organs. And you go, Doc, I only lost 5 pounds. Well, holy smokes. Do you know how much 5 pounds is? It's a foot long and 6 inches thick around your organs. That's what you're losing. And I often told patients, like, would you throw away the scale? Please. I'm trying, my goal to fix insulin for sure, and insulin resistance. Absolutely, that's the key. But the other thing that the reset, and tens of thousands of people would give testimony to this. No, because of books, probably 100,000 people easily would give testimony to this. Doc, I found out that me and carbs don't get along. We don't get along. I love them, but they don't love me. I love carbs. I could live on carbs. Yeah, you could, but you won't live long. And you had to figure that out. That's why the reset, because once you get in around that second, third week, you go, man, oh man, my body is burning a better fuel. I feel better. My brain feels better. My liver, not that you think about it much unless it's diseased. Like the liver empties out, your triglycerides come down, your HDL goes up, your inflammation goes down. And all of those things, and you realize, man, I didn't realize what those stinking crappy carbs were doing to my body until you cut it out. But you see, if you try and circumvent that by taking a medication, the second you stop, the weight comes back. Because you haven't formed that habit. You haven't realized your bad relationship to crappy carbohydrates. And that's 93% of the population, by the way. 93%. So the medication, I talk about it all the time, you know. It works. That's why Hollywood loves it. It works. But, with the big but, boatload of side effects. You do not change your habits. And what you lost, And this is facts. You lost muscle and you didn't lose fat, or you lose a little bit of fat, but it's mostly muscle. That's not good. You don't want that. And we all know about muscle on the Doctors In podcast. It is an organ that's on your side. Okay. Well, excuse me. Tomorrow afternoon. Rebuild Your Temple. Do you got the book yet? Tens of thousands have. Okay? Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Friday morning, I do a little devotional in the Rebuild Your Temple book club. Somebody asked yesterday, Dr. Martin, why didn't you have a book club for your other book clubs, your other books you wrote? I should have had a book club for the other books I wrote. Maybe we'll open up a new one with Sun, Steak, and Steel. Okay? And we can go back and forth with that. But we also have our private Facebook group, the Martin Clinic Facebook group, okay? We got, 25,000 people in on that, I think, or 26,000 people in the private Facebook group, okay? 90,000 followers on this podcast when I do Facebook, and millions of downloads on the Doctor Is In podcast on your favorite smart device. Okay? Give us a 5-star rating. Show us love. No, you know why? You know why I say that? Because it helps. Because when Facebook sees it, and when Spotify sees it, or wherever you download your podcast, they share that. Facebook shares. When you share, they share. That's just the way it works. I didn't know that till somebody told me. Okay, we love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.